Do you ever struggle with choosing the right shadow colors for your florals? Should you always use cool tones like blues and purples? What about using deeper hues in the same color as the rest of your flower? And where do those neutrals fit in? Welcome to Sunlit Brushstrokes. My name is Jessica, and today I'm excited to share with you my top secrets for choosing shadow colors that add dimension and beauty to your floral pieces. Let's go ahead and get started. First, let's talk about cool tones in your shadows. Here you can see I'm painting the shadows with these purple, blue colors, and those colors are showing up beautifully in this light toned flower. This flower is such a soft pink, it's almost white. And when you're painting such light colored florals, a shadow color like this can be a perfect choice because quite often those shadows are reflecting the color of the sky. When I painted the puppy on this channel, you can see that I'm leaning into a purple color for my shadows. But because of the coral tones in the flower, it's a little bit trickier to see those purple colors in the reference photo. Here's the original reference photo for this poppy, but when you zoom in really close, you can see how some of these shadows here start to look almost kind of a bluish purple, don't they? And so when you go to paint, a great idea is to download your reference photo onto your own device and then zoom in nice and close, and you're going to be able to identify those cool tone shadows easier. And then the secret to painting them without getting a lot of muddy color is to dry your initial layers, such as your coral or your orange colors, first, and then come in with another layer for your cool tone shadows. Now let's talk about shadows when you're painting a vibrant colored flower, such as this dahlia here. This is my newest full-length tutorial that you can find on my Etsy shop, but I'm going to be showing you the process I used to paint the shadows so that I could achieve both vibrant colored shadows as well as neutral or dull colored shadows. Because honestly, there's a place for both. As many of you know, if you've watched my channel for any length of time, I almost always start my painting with my warmest, lightest colors first. In this case, it's the yellow. You can see I'm laying some yellow down, and then I work my way into coral. Because there's so many petals here, I'm going to show you some snippets of my process, but if you want to paint along with me, one petal at a time, you'll definitely want to check out my full-length tutorial. It's nearly 4 hours long, and I show you my full process step by step. After I lay in those warm colors like the yellow and the coral, I start working into my rose colors. And you can see how layering that rose on top of my warmer colors is already bringing this flower to life. Not every single petal requires those yellow undertones. The very first wash I apply on some of these is quinacridone rose. When I'm ready to start applying my shadow colors, I'm still thinking in terms of working warm to cool. You can see I've already got those warm colors starting with yellow into those oranges and corals, and now I'm going to be working into the magenta colors that are a little bit cooler. You can see that here. There are some nice vibrant magenta colors right here, but when I zoom in, you can also see magenta and then even almost purple colors in the shadows of these petals. Once again, the secret to maintaining vibrancy here is to dry those initial layers first and then come on top with these cooler colors. I'm applying some magenta on top of my rose colors, and eventually I'm even going to be working my way into purple. And you can already see the difference it's making as I add this slightly cooler tone on top of all my other warm colors. I'm using my reference photo as a guide to know where to place these shadows. Sometimes I'm working wet on wet at this stage, and other times wet on dry, softening things as I need to as I go. Finally, I mix a little bit of phthalo blue into my quinacridone magenta in order to create a beautiful, deeper, cooler purple color. And I'm using this for the very tiny shadow shapes, the creases and the folds that you can see in the center of this flower. By making my color choices as I think about the direction of the color wheel, I'm able to maintain vibrancy, and I can also get nice and dark in the places that I need to. Finally, let's talk about the neutral or dull colored shadows. If I zoom into the photo here, you can see some of these shadows aren't really that vibrant. They actually look slightly muddy, if you will. You can mix neutral colors, and I talk about how to do this on this neutral tone color wheel. I can include a link for that video in the description below. But on this particular project, I'm going to be creating my muddy colors by mixing my colors wet on wet directly in the shadow shapes of my painting. So you can see I'm starting with warm light colors, but instead of drying everything, I'm working my way around the color wheel, adding those deeper shadow colors, and letting those colors mix together on their own in this wet on wet shadow shape. You want to be cautious about not overworking, but at the same time, if you create a little bit of mud, if you will, it can work beautifully because after all, we are looking for dull or neutral tone shadows. This isn't a technique that I use all the time, but it's one that works really nicely if you do want some dull colored shadows, some beautiful neutrals, and you want to have those colors mingle together right on your painting. The techniques that I'm showing here for creating soft and hard edge shadows are a little bit more advanced, but I go into detail on how I achieve both. If you're up for a challenge and you would like to paint a multi-petal flower with both vibrant shadows and dull neutrals, and learn how to mix colors both in your palette as well as on your painting, and see how I manipulate the edges of my shadows, you can find a link to that tutorial in the description below. You'll receive an outline so you don't have to do any of the drawing, as well as a download of my finished painting so you can use it as a reference while you're working. At the very end, I complete this piece with a beautiful green background. Once again, mixing vibrant colors in my palette, along with creating some neutral mixes directly on my painting. I'd love to know in the comments below, which of these techniques do you use already? And what did you learn that you're going to try in your next painting? I'd love to hear it. In the meantime, I hope this tutorial has brought a little taste of God's beauty and peace into your everyday life, and that these shadow techniques have inspired you to continue enjoying your own creative journey. See you again soon. Bye!